What up, everybody? Thank you for dropping in and checking out my channel. This is John with First and 20, a show about your Miami Dolphins. And a week ago, I, like most of the fan base, was still pretty upset about not re-signing Christian Wilkins and Andrew Van Ginkel, two, I thought, very important cogs, very important pieces to this defense, two guys still in their prime. But a week has passed, and on my last episode, I talked about some of the linebacker signings we made and signing Aaron Brewer, and I was already liking what we were doing with some of that money that we saved. We went out and got our new starting center, one that's, I think, going to fit Mike McDaniel's offense very well. Two athletic inside linebackers, two tackling machines. And now since then, we've added more people. So we've gone out and signed Shaquille Barrett, veteran presence that you can plug in on the edge, kind of that Melvin Ingram role from a couple of years ago. He comes in, maybe a tad long in the tooth. I think he's 31, 32 years old right now, but has all that experience, Super Bowl champion, still a very, very productive player. And I thought bringing him in kind of as a stopgap, as a one-year deal, was very smart because you have Jalen Phillips. Obviously, he's a freak. I think he's our franchise edge rusher. He's our edge rusher of the future, present and future. And, of course, you still have Bradley Chubb for a few more years. But both are question marks right now because of their injuries. So I don't think it's a bad idea at all to kind of beef up the depth and the productivity and veteran leadership on the edge. So we can go out and sign Shaq Barrett. We beef up that D tackle room. We go out and sign Nevin Gallimore. Veteran guy because can provide some depth, maybe compete for that starting job. Not quite sure about that, but at the very least, he's a nice depth piece. Go out and sign Benito Jones. Again, depth piece, beefing up that D tackle room. I don't think they're done there. I think they could go out and maybe sign a guy that's more of that starting caliber D tackle we need. Or maybe draft a guy high in the draft, which I'll get to in a couple of minutes. But the big signing of this week, in my opinion, was Kendall Fuller. I mean, very pleasant surprise. I've always been a fan of Kendall Fuller. And, I've been a fan of him, honestly, since he was at Virginia Tech. He played against my Miami Hurricanes every year, and so I got to see him firsthand. Dude's excellent. I think he's a very, very good, very productive cornerback. His PFF ratings are in the low 80s, which is solid. That's very, very good. Now, I don't know how much you guys watching believe in PFF ratings. I believe in them very much to a degree. Certain positions more than others. I believe in them very much for cornerback because there's two positions mainly in football that if you don't hear their name called, it's usually a good thing. Those two positions are corner. I mean, you could say that about safety too, but mainly corner. And the other one is offensive line. Why? Corner and offensive line, if you're locking down your side of the field, if a corner is, from the hash mark all the way to the sideline, you're just locking things down. They're not even throwing your way like Nnamdi Asomugha back in the day. They didn't even throw his way. He didn't rack up that many stats because they avoided him. So things like that are what PFF take into account. So I think that's something for those specific positions you got to look at. And so that carries a lot of weight with me with a corner like Kendall Fuller, 29 years old, also still in his prime, still very productive. I think this was a very, very good signing here. So if you look at the starting secondary now, you got Jalen Ramsey at one cornerback spot. You got Kendall Fuller on the other side. Rock solid. I'm good with that. I'm good with that tandem. You got now Jordan Poyer, who the Dolphins have been wanting since last year. We finally got him. He'll be one of your starting safeties alongside Javon Holland. So you got Holland, Poyer, Fuller, and Ramsey. I'm good with that secondary. I'm pretty set with that. So we'll probably, add some more depth as well, because as we've seen in recent years, you can't have too many guys in the secondary. And it's like, you're going to have nicks and bumps and bruises. You're going to have injuries. But hopefully those 4 guys are going to be more durable and can stay healthy. Jordan Poyer in particular, one of the reasons we went and got him is because of his availability. He's very, very durable, even at 32 years old. And in all his experience and all that, he has proven to be a durable guy. He doesn't get hurt too often. He doesn't miss too much time. I read something that he played like 98% of the Bills' snaps last year on defense. So the guy is going to be available. That was an issue for a good chunk of our defense. But I like it. I like our starting secondary. We'll probably add a little more, maybe some young guys, young prospects through the draft. I would like to see that. You still got Cam Smith. You still got Nick Needham. I like how our secondary is looking. Great job there by Greer. Now, moving down to tight end, we went out and signed Jody Fortson. That is a more of a backup tight end. Again, another depth piece. I know Tyreek Hill, he tweeted out that he was happy with that signing as his former teammate. Relatively, he's dealt with some injuries in the past. Relatively productive backup tight end. Again, you add some depth. I love the Jonnu Smith signing. Great speed for a tight end, good size. I think that, he's going to be more your starter. Again, because of his speed, his athleticism, fits Mike McDaniel's offense perfectly. So I see what they're doing there. The signings, the more you look into them, the more they make sense. Now, moving on, since our starting secondary at least, looks pretty set, looks pretty solid. Went out and signed also a veteran edge rusher, got some depth at D tackle. I think now moving forward, it puts even more focus on the trenches for the draft, because cornerback, that's pretty much taken care of for now. I'm not as worried as I was before. But going into that first round, I think the strategy is pretty clear. My strategy before might have been go more interior. Jackson Powers Johnson would have been a great option at 21. But you went out and got Aaron Brewer. I think that's your starting center. You're good there. Replaces Connor Williams. You got to address the guard position a little bit, but I think the guard position is one that A, you do not spend a ton of money on, and B, you don't draft super high unless it's like a Mike Iupati kind of like generational talent at guard. And that's like your one missing piece to go on a Super Bowl run. You don't draft the guard high. You just don't. So I think you go out and draft a left tackle. This is a very good, very deep draft for tackles. You can go Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma, 6'7", 320 plus pounds, athletic freak. I think he might even be heavier than that, might be closer to 330, 340, but 6'7", can move well. That height is important, especially in the NFL. Why? Wingspan. Wingspan is so important for left tackles in this league. And he, again, he's very athletic as well, an athletic freak, he's been described as. So he would fit McDaniel's offense perfectly. That fast pace, no huddle kind of thing that modern offenses have taken on. Another guy, Amarius Mims, maybe would be an option. Availability is his issue, and I don't want to see us cursed with that again. But you can't deny his athleticism. He did miss a lot of time, but his upside is through the roof. That's another dude that's like 6'7", maybe a tad more. Crazy wingspan, crazy athleticism. Another guy, I'm going to butcher his name, Kingsley Suamataya, out of Washington, I believe. And he would be another rock solid option at that tackle spot. Why I think you go after a tackle now, high in the draft, Teron Armstead's not going to stay healthy, let's be honest. So Austin Jackson, I thought, did a decent job. He looked much better at right tackle. Butch Berry, credit to him for really, with a makeshift offensive line for most of the season, I thought they did a decent job. I don't think they were ultimately the downfall of the team. So you got Austin Jackson on one side, Teron Armstead on the other. I would feel a whole hell of a lot better if you go out and sign one of these physical freaks in that first round. Now, going on more to the second round, if you can trade down a few picks and maybe get a second round pick, that would be massive. I would be very, very excited if we can do that. again, deep tackle draft, if you trade down 5 or 6 spots, 8 spots, whatever, to the end of the first round, I think you can still grab one of those elite tackles. Go down to the second round, and with your 2 picks, you go out and grab inside linebacker. I've told you what I've thought of Peyton Wilson out of NC State. If he's there, you absolutely take him. Zero hesitation whatsoever. And then, or if he's not available, you go best edge rusher available and best D tackle available. There, second round, I think you address your defense. Beef up that front 7, beef up the trenches. And then from then on, moving forward, third round, fourth round, all these compensatory picks you got, I believe you have a focus in the trenches, maybe get a guard or 2 in those later rounds. But I think you just grab the best player available. If there's a stud wide receiver there in the third round or fourth round that you can't not take him, go ahead and take him. That's something the Dolphins have struggled with in the past, focusing a little too much on need and not just going and grabbing the best player available. I remember the draft where Jimmy Graham was, I want to say it was the same draft, maybe a year apart. I'm not sure, but around the same time, this is like 10, 11 years ago, maybe a little more. Jimmy Graham and T.Y. Hilton, both in our backyard, one from FIU, one from UM. They were right there in the middle rounds, third, fourth round guys. Both there. The Dolphins could have had them both. Best player available, obviously, when it was their turn to pick, they didn't get them. They went out and got, I want to say Michael Egnew was their pick for one of those drafts in the third round. So, yeah, the Dolphins need to third round and on, regardless of position. I mean, focus, try to get a couple of guards, really beef up that position, but really focus on getting the best guy available. Love Tyreek Hill. I love the Cheetah. Big fan of his. Love Jalen Waddle. But really beyond that, I mean, your next best guy, I mean, Cedric Wilson's gone. Your next best guy is Braxton Berrios. If you end up re-signing him, you gotta get a legit third option. So this is a pretty good, in my opinion, especially later rounds, pretty good draft for receivers. I would love it if we went out and got like a Michael Thomas, a veteran guy like that. But we'll see. We'll see what happens moving forward. Just throwing this out there. Another inside linebacker, because I don't think we're done there. Another inside linebacker I would love that could be our guy for the future. If he's there like maybe third round-ish, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. out of Clemson. If you know that name, yes, his dad played for the Philadelphia Eagles. He was excellent. Great middle linebacker. Jeremiah Trotter, a touch smaller, but man, I watched him play the last couple of years at Clemson. That dude is for real. He's legit. I would love if we grabbed him in the middle rounds if we hadn't gotten a linebacker yet at that point. But anyways, guys, that's it for me for now. Just wanted to chop it up with you a little bit about my thoughts on the signings this past week. I think the Dolphins have, since they decided not to re-sign Wilson, I think they've done a tremendous job. I got to give credit where credit's due. I think Chris Grier has done an excellent job. I am not a Chris Grier basher. I will criticize him when it's valid, but I look at these past couple of years, it's like, listen, you can't blame him for the injuries. You really can't. And I think he's done a good job here. Signing a lot of guys to one-year deals, a lot of, good stopgaps so young guys can develop, so they can figure out long-term solutions. And this is the NFL. It's they call it the not for long league for a reason. Guys get hurt, guys' careers get shortened. So I see what he's doing with these short-term deals. But anyways, guys, please go down, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, help me grow this channel. I want to get to 1,000 by the time the season starts. And if you haven't yet already, please go follow me on my other channel, the Cafecito and Kane Show. If you like college football, I cover the Miami Hurricanes. I do shows once a week. As we go into the season, closer to the season, I will ramp up and do multiple times a week. I do pregame shows, post-game analysis, all that good stuff. So anyways, see you guys next time. Go Dolphins.